this is one of the 1861 O half dollars that has been proven that it was minted under the Confederacy. So in 1861, when the Civil War began, the Confederates took over the mint at New Orleans.
So today we're at Coins Plus, different location. You have 3 locations, correct?
That's correct.
And
yes.
This one is downtown Cincinnati.
Right downtown, yes, sir.
And today you have a collection here that you're going to show us, and that is actually for sale.
That's correct. Yes.
And what type of collection is this?
Well, this is a collection of coins minted during the Civil War. And, people come to me at different times and say, how should I collect coins? They don't know whether they should collect a series of coins. And usually I start people on a typeset so that they can get a feel for the breadth of American numismatics. And from that, I find that people generally come in and say, in looking at my collection, this particular coin speaks to me. And then we pursue a collection of maybe Buffalo nickels or Mercury dimes or bust half dollars, whatever speaks to the client. In this case, I had a client come to me some years ago and asked about coins minted during the Civil War. He had quite a collection of Civil War artifacts and wanted to supplement it with numismatics. He had a rather naive idea of what it would take to build the set. And once we got past that, we began building the set. He got about 70% done, and recently another business opportunity has presented itself, and he decided that the coins were the place that he was going to come up with some working capital. Okay. So
what are these dated from?
1861 to 1865. And he was trying to collect one of each coin, regardless of the mint mark, and the condition was always right at the cusp of where the next grade would cost multiples of the grade below it. So I like to look at collecting that way as value. If you get a really nice 63 that costs you a third of what an average or below average 64 would cost, I look at that as good value, because most collectors can't tell the difference between a high-end 63 and a low-end 64. The coins visually are pretty much the same, but the number on the holder is what's different. I put together a proposal for him of grades we were looking for, and then I went out into the marketplace and I started buying coins for him. And he did a really nice job of putting together, like I said, about 70% of the coins. Some are very common, and those were easy to obtain and quickly. Whenever you start a set, of course, you can get a lot of coins really quickly because you get all the common ones.
Right.
Then you start hitting a wall where instead of spending a couple of $100 or a few $100 for a coin, now it's $1,000. And then you hit the next wall and it's $5,000. So there are coins here in the collection that are a few $100. There are coins in the collection that are $20,000 and $30,000.
Wow.
So
you don't necessarily have to sell this as one collection?
Oh no, these are all for sale individually. Okay. I had the collection at Fun, and we sold quite a number of coins at the Fun convention this year. There still are a lot of really good, cool coins left. I thought sharing, a different theme of how you can collect coins would be of interest to some viewers. This is kind of a cross between doing a set and doing a typeset, because now you're dealing with mint mark coins also, as well as the different design types. So, in the set you start with Indian cents that are copper nickel composition, as well as picking up the first bronze Indian cent in 1865. The 2-cent piece, which was the first coin to have the motto "In God We Trust" on the coin. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 of those that fall in the Civil War date range. 3-cent silvers, you get a 3-cent nickel, the inaugural year of 1865. Half dimes, quarters, half dollars, which have some interesting sideline varieties there. Dollars, and then the gold, you have $1, $2.5, $5, $10, and $20 gold pieces. And some of the rarest coins are in the fractional gold coins. The 2.5s, 5s, and 10s have some of the rarest coins in the series. So he had all the 20s in the set except one. He only had a few 10s and a few 5s and a few 2.5s, because those are the ones that are really the toughest ones to find. And then we weren't buying coins willy-nilly either. We were looking for coins that were solid or upper end for the grade. So there were a lot of coins that I found in substandard condition from what I was looking for, because not all MS63s are created the same. So it would have to be a nice, well-struck, lustrous, relatively mark-free coin. And so I have here in front of me the remaining coins out of the collection. And
so if one of my viewers is interested in purchasing one of these coins, how would they go about doing that?
well, you can give us a call or drop us a line. CoinsplusCincy.com is the website, and you can send a message to Brad through that venue, or you can call me directly, 513-290-7888, and mention that you're calling about the Tennessee Valley collection of Civil War coins. I'd be happy to send images out to anyone and discuss the individual coins with them. You'll notice some of these are CAC approved. Not every coin was sent to CAC. Most of the ones that are CAC approved, I purchased that way for the customer.
Can you kind of talk about what that actually means? Because I don't know that all.
Okay, well, CAC, originally Certified Acceptance Corporation, started a service where they would view coins certified by NGC and PCGS, and they would give them a approval sticker if they were in the higher end of the grade that was listed on the holder. And many collectors rely on that additional set of eyes looking at their coin to buy them. So generally speaking, when you find a coin that has the little green, or really if you get a gold sticker, that's really amazing, kind of like the Willy Wonka gold ticket. But if you get the little green bean on your coin, in general you'll find that coin is superior to other ones in that grade from either NGC or PCGS. Now, CAC has begun grading coins themselves, so you can also use their service for that, but they're in the infancy, and there's not enough of their coins in the marketplace to really make an intelligent determination of where they're going to stand. From what I've seen so far, they're grading stricter, which is the whole idea behind their system, is to have a strict grading system that doesn't change. As we all know, there's been great inflation over the years. Many of the original PCGS rattlers have been cracked, resubmitted for higher grades because market standards have changed over the years.
Do you think in the future we will see basically like AI grading or non-human grading?
I think we were going to, in the near future, see AI-assisted grading.
Okay. Because
AI can be programmed to tell how many marks are on a coin, where they are, and you can tell AI that marks are bad. And they're especially bad if they're in the middle of the field or on the cheek or someplace that is highly visible, less so in the hair or in the feathers of the eagle. But I think you could have AI do the initial grading and then it go to a finalizer that then determines eye appeal. Because I'm not sure you can tell AI how to factor toning or luster into the equation, or taking into accommodation the strike that you'll have, like New Orleans struck coins are generally softer struck than Philadelphia or San Francisco. So it would be hard to program all of that into AI, but you could easily tell it, find all the marks that don't belong here. And then there could be a formula that would come up with a grade based on the location and severity of the marks. I think that that's highly possible. Again, I think it's very improbable that you can teach AI eye appeal, because so much of that is subjective to the individual person. What I find attractive, you might not, and vice versa. So that last subjective part of grading, I think, will always be human.
Okay.
But, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, there's been, great strides in that. People have talked for years and years and years about computer grading. I think we're closer to it than we've ever been. I'm still kind of on the fence as to whether it can be totally AI. I do think that there's a space for a combined system.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you just said makes sense, and really, I think it would help overall with the consistency of the grading, because
absolutely,
it could be human error.
But part of the problem with AI grading is so many of the grading services are dependent on resubmissions. So people want to upgrade their coins, or people want another look at them. They'll crack them out of holders. But if AI's doing it, it can tell you, I've seen this coin before based on these marks, or there's a 99% chance or 98% chance this is the same coin that's been graded before. So it would eliminate resubmissions.
Right.
So I'm not sure that the grading services really want to have that happen, because at this point, I would think a good amount of their revenue comes from looking at a coin they've already seen before, whether it's in the holder for a reconsideration or most likely taken out of the holder, maybe doctored, and then sent back in for another grade. So coin doctors are going to have a real hard problem, because if you take a white coin and add toning to it, it's still going to have the same marks in the same place. And once AI identifies that, you're going to eliminate the possibility of toning a coin and sending it in for a different grade.
Have you personally ever, felt like something in one coin holder was not accurate and you sent it to, like a competing grading company?
Yes, every coin dealer's done that.
Okay.
All right. It's part of the arbitrage system of grading. Sending it back to the same people and getting a different set of eyes on it is quite popular. I mean, I know people that, continually send in the same coin because the difference between a 4 and a 5 is so great that a high-end 4 can become a low-end 5, and you can go from a $5,000 to a $30,000 coin. So the incentive is there to keep trying until somebody has an off day, there's a different set of eyes, there's they grade it on a Friday instead of a Tuesday, whatever might happen in the grading rooms. I think the graders are incredibly consistent, but obviously they can't be 100% consistent. Right. I look at things I've graded before myself in my collection, and I go, how did I ever grade that coin that number? And so as you grow in experience as well as in taste, your grades can change. And for me personally, every few years, I'll take my coins out, my raw coins out, and regrade them and look at where I've been. And a lot of times I'm reducing the grades because I become pickier as I get older and more experienced. But that's a personal opinion. You can reduce the grade on a coin. It may not reduce the value of the coin. It could still sell for the same amount of money, because what's the difference between a high-end 35 and a low-end 40? Probably not much in pricing. But there are instances where you can get vastly different values based on the grade. So there's a lot of interesting things here. In this series, you're going to have coins minted in Philadelphia, San Francisco, New Orleans, Dahlonega, Charlotte, and there are some interesting sideline coins also that you can get. For example, in the half dollars. This is one that we purchased separately, because this is one of the 1861 half dollars that has been proven that it was minted under the Confederacy. So in 1861, when the Civil War began, the Confederates took over the mint at New Orleans. And there were still some amounts of silver there, and there were still dies and minting apparatus. And they produced their own coin, and you can tell because of the die crack on the coin, you can prove that this is a Confederate issue. So it's one of the few coins that you can prove that was issued by the Confederacy.
Now, what would the price be on something like that?
The 61 well, let me grab my price list here, and we can tell you exactly, rather than trying to work from memory, which isn't always good for me. This 1861 CSA in PCGS XF45 is $4,750. So it's a scarce variety that many people collect as a separate issue of their collections. So the Liberty seated specialists would get a 61 from a different die set for the Union strike, and one of these for the Confederate strike. Another interesting piece is, this is a Scott restrike half dollar. In the 1880s, the coin dealer Scott obtained the Confederate half dollar die that was used to strike the few true half dollars. He then took an 1861 Liberty seated half dollars. He planed off the reverse and then restruck them with the Confederate half dollar reverse. So you have, for lack of a better term, a muled coin that is what maybe the Confederacy would have looked like had they made their own coins. And these are pretty scarce. They show up in the marketplace, and this particular piece, the Confederate restrikes by Scott, is selling for $14,750. And this is an MS-62 example. It has a wonderful original patina. If you look at the coin, the obverse is always kind of mushy because it was partially flattened by striking the reverse. So it has a really specific look to it that you wouldn't mistake it for anything else.
Okay.
So that's a very interesting portion of the collection that my customer decided to purchase one of those at one time. Some of the more valuable pieces that are still remaining in the collection is we have an 1863 $3 gold piece. It's the last of the $3 gold pieces in the collection. They were very popular at the fun convention. This particular piece is a $10,000 coin. There's an 1864 $5 PCGS AU55 with CAC approval. And this is one of the rarest pieces. It's $30,000.
Wow.
And there's a lot of fives that are very difficult to get, and many of the tens. Some of the highlights in the $20 series, this is one of the rarest coins in the collection, 1861 New Orleans $20 gold piece. This was most likely struck by the Union. They probably used up all of the gold and got it out before the Confederates took over the mint in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. A whole nother story about J.L. Riddell and the New Orleans Mint. And he was actually a resident of Cincinnati for a few years, met his wife here, and that's a whole nother story.
Really?
But this coin is extremely rare, and it's the only coin in the set that was not a straight grade coin. It looks better than a lot of the straight grade coins I've seen. Mm-hmm. This is listed at $20,000. And then we have 1863 $20 gold piece in PCGS AU58. That was a popular grade for this collector because, the 58s can look better than many of the 61s because they don't have nearly as many marks on them. And this is a $25,000 piece. And then the 1864 is a highly lustrous AU58 that's also listing at $25,000. Now, don't be afraid. They're not all that expensive. There are still coins left that are a few $100s in the collection. There's a number of CAC-approved coins still in the collection, a mix between white and toned coins. What we were looking for were coins that had good eye appeal for the grade. And I think, most of the coins would be a good addition to anyone's set. Some people only collect white coins. For example, in the half dimes, if you only like untoned coins, you have this 65S that is an Simpson coin. It's CAC approved, and it's nice and white. And the coin right next to it, the 1865 Philadelphia issue, is a PCGS old green holder that is naturally toned, obverse and reverse match, and again, CAC approved. So there's something here for everybody. I'm happy to, like I said, if you contact me, I'd be happy to answer questions about them, forward you photographs of them, and of course, most of them are TrueViewed, where you can take the certification number and look them up on PCGS's website. But in the end, it's another way of looking at collecting. You can directly put these coins into their historical context of the Civil War, when people were hoarding coins. There's the Civil War tokens that were issued were expediency currency, where they didn't have enough small change circulating. Mm-hmm. People would have hoarded the government issue cents, and there just wasn't enough small change around. So they made the Civil War tokens, encased postage, fractional currency. That's all a direct response to there not being enough coins in circulation because people hoarded all of the government-issued items
Do you mean like
during
the
the Civil War.
token with like the Indian head design on the obverse kind of?
That's many of them look like Indian cents.
Yeah.
Many of them have other motifs on them, flags, patriotic symbols, etc. And many of them were either, well, they were in two categories: patriotic, where they would have a patriotic theme, or merchant, where it would be an advertising token where a merchant would put their name on one side and an image of the Indian on the other, and they would use them as small change and pass them out. In fact, Osborne Minting here in Cincinnati was in business then and made a number of the Civil War tokens. So Cincinnati has a rich numismatic history if you look back into it.
So for the gold coins, I would imagine in the late 1800s, a $20 gold coin, a wealthy person would have had that coin.
That's correct. Yeah, the average person didn't walk around with gold coins in their pocket. It was a storehouse of value. So when you find hoards like the Kentucky hoard that was just discovered last year, a year before, those are almost always gold coins because it was a way to store a lot of wealth in a small package.
Do you have any idea of who you think had that hoard down there?
Oh, God, no. The biggest speculation has been that it was a payroll, maybe for troops, but we have no idea.
Okay.
They didn't leave a note with the coins, or if they did, it didn't survive.
That was
it's an amazing deal, yes.
It's a needle in the haystack.
Needle, yes, exactly. And, they're still finding needles in the haystack in England quite often with metal detecting, with finding Roman or Celtic or Nordic hoards that are buried there, and Europe. So there's always something coming to light. And the most important thing is being able to study what's in a hoard. That'll give you a lot of historical context also. But the gold coins here represent really the reason that the Union won the war, because at the time, gold was minted in California, and California was controlled by the Union. And it would be shipped, around the tip of South America and come up to Philadelphia. And there were a few of the ships that didn't make it, and we've all read about those wrecks that are very popular. But the California gold financed the Civil War for the North and helped them tremendously. As you know, the South did not produce any official coins because they just didn't have the metal. They had to rely on the fiat currency, paper currency, and we all know what happens when you produce too much paper currency.
Right.
If you look on it as an investment, a net graded or non-straight graded coin isn't as good an investment. But if you're looking, there's a coin that's 20,000. If that coin was straight graded, you're looking at 40, 45, 50,000. So it does offer value. And especially for someone who's looking to complete a set, you do need one. And if you want to save a little bit of money and still have a coin that is a good representation, then that would be the piece, because it is the only New Orleans 20 from that era, that set.
What is the lower end of the gold here?
Oh, the lower end of the gold, you're probably, this 1861 $1.
And it is got the CAC sticker on
it. It is CAC approved, and the 1861 $1 CAC approved in '64 is $1,850.
Okay.
You can also look at there's a 2.5, or I'm sorry, there's a 1861 5 here that's CAC approved. That's $2,300. So none of the gold is cheap, but some of it is more affordable than other pieces. The least expensive remaining coin is the 61 $1 gold piece here at $1,850. But you can see that some of them, like the 61 2.5, that's an MS64 plus coin. And that's $3,200. Collector could have bought one in lower grade for much less, but again, that was the break point between affordable and 2 or 3 or 4 times that amount of money for the next grade up. So some collectors would opt to collect all of them in the same grade. But if you do that, you're limiting yourself to what you can afford the best coin in.
Right.
So if you can only afford the best coin in a VF, then you're limiting all your other purchase to a VF. Nothing wrong with that. That's a great way of collecting, making everything look the same in your collection. Here, we could make things look the same even though they were 2 or 3 grades apart, that the overall look of the coin was very similar. But it fell into his affordability range that way.
Okay.
So he wanted to collect some really nice looking coins without breaking the bank on any particular coin.
Yeah, it is a really nice set. And how much have you sold of it? Is this like the majority of it?
We sold about a quarter of it at Fun. There are certain series that resonate with collectors. Like there are a very large number of collectors of seated Liberty dollars outside of the Civil War collectors. There are people putting together complete sets. And it's a very, very popular series. So we sold all but one of those. The $3 gold piece, again, is a series that is collected extensively by date and mint mark by collectors. And it's an unusual denomination. So that has added desirability there.
Yeah, these are all great for if someone wants to have a $20 gold coin collection. There's a good starter. You got how many coins there? 5 or?
Well, there's
8?
3 more here. Yeah,
yeah, 8 of them.
3, 5, 8 of them. Yes. So it's a very extensive collection of 20s. And if you look, you'll see that most of them have pretty nice luster. They are pretty well matched and would fit into anyone's sets.
And we got this MS62 is the highest for the gold, $20 gold?
It is, yeah. 1861 $20 gold is one of the more common 20s. And in the MS62 grade, that is $9,500.
Wow.
Then there's the 62S. That is a very lustrous AU58. That's $9,000. The 63S is $6,500, and that's again a nice AU coin with good luster. And then the 65 plain in AU58 is $7,000. The 65S in MS60, which is an odd grade, you don't see very many 60 grades. That's $5,750. So you're not going to break the bank if you want to get a 20 from the Civil War era, because any 20 is bringing $2,200 now. So for a little more than double, you can get a coin that has a rich historical context to it.
It's not like you're just spending $5,000 on something and then you never see the $5,000 again. It's just $5,000 of your money sitting there in a coin that you could always get back later if you need to.
You can always sell it later. Whether you get back what you've invested in it or not is not the case. So I tell people all the time, coin collecting is a hobby that in the end pays you back.
Right.
Now, whether it pays you back a profit, break even, or you lose something, it's still paying you something back. So I have a good friend who was an avid golfer, and he would take vacations to Scotland and England, and he would play great golf courses like Pebble Beach, and all the money he spent golfing is gone. You don't get any of that back. You got great memories, but he was also a coin collector. And when he sold his coins, he made money on what he sold. It gave him something back at the end. So all hobbies don't give you something back. If you're a model airplaner, yeah, you're going to get some of your money back, but not much of it after you've flown your planes and wrecked them and rebuilt them. And, you know, so there's different ways of looking at a hobby. And people ask me all the time, are coins a good investment? And I tell them most of the times, no. I'm not into coins as an investment. But for me, as a young man, it was a forced savings. My coin collection was savings. I would have never been able to put that money in the bank and leave it alone. But I still have coins that I bought when I was 12 and 14 years old.
Wow.
And had I put that money in the bank, it would be greater than what the coin's worth today. But I'm happy. I had a hobby that kept me out of trouble and interested for decades. It became my career. And so a hobby gives something back, as well as mentally and physically, as well as maybe financially. So it's a great hobby, but you have to look further than just the metallic discs. You have to look into the history behind them. And I think that's what's so important. And that's what makes this collection so unique, because you can vision the soldiers on Gettysburg battlefield. And they may have had, not these coins, because they're in too nice a state of preservation, but coins just like these in their pouch or with them as good luck or spending money. And when you put that together with collecting the coins as well as collecting the information and the history behind them, I think that is what makes numismatics one of the most fascinating hobbies that someone can have.
Make sure you guys go to Coins Plus. They have 3 different locations. Check out their business card right here. You can call Brad, ask for Brad, tell him that Couch Collectibles sent you. He might even give you a deal if you do that. I don't know. All you gotta do is negotiate. And don't forget to subscribe in the middle. Feel free to check out the videos to the left of me. And until tomorrow, I'll see you guys in the comment section below. This is Couch Collectibles, and this is where I disappear.